Hello, and welcome to episode 52 of the West Aurora 129 podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Smith, Superintendent of Schools. Today, we are joined by two West Aurora alumni who have returned to West High to visit with students and share their post-secondary experiences and career insights. First, we're joined by Leah Warren, a proud West Aurora alum from the class of 2016. Leah attended Schneider Elementary, Herget Middle School, and West Aurora High School, where she participated in cheer, track, cross-country, mathletes, and was a member of both the Spanish Honor Society and National Honor Society. After graduating, Leah earned her bachelor's degree in political science with double minors in mathematics and Spanish from Aurora University, and later completed her law degree at the University of Iowa College of Law. Today, Leah is a tax associate with Kirkland & Ellis LLP, where she advises clients on complex business transactions and also supports nonprofit organizations through pro bono work. Leah, thank you for being here today to share your journey and insights with our students.
Of course, and thank you for that lovely introduction.
Next, we are pleased to welcome Dr. Wendy Andrade, a West Aurora alum from the class of 2013. Dr. Andrade attended Schneider and Smith Elementary Schools as well as Jewell Middle School. Before graduating from West Aurora High School during her time at West, she was involved in soccer, basketball, cheerleading, student council, and served as a student ambassador. Following graduation, Dr. Andrade completed the Doctor of Pharmacy program at the St. Louis College of Pharmacy. Today, she serves as a PRN clinical pharmacist with Northwestern Medicine at Central DuPage Hospital, while also pursuing her passion as a full-time real estate agent with At Properties in downtown Chicago. Her journey reflects the courage to pursue new paths, and we're excited to welcome her back to share her story and insights with our students. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Andrade.
It's a pleasure to be back to the place that built me.
There we go. That's the way to start us off strong. I like that. So for those of you listening, that means we do set a pretty good foundation around here. So, hey, that's good news. And I do know that, quite honestly, guys, we just want to have a conversation. You're both of you, based on the introduction that I just shared, have definitely something to be proud of in terms of what you have accomplished so far, and know that there is a path ahead of you as well that you're forging. But quite honestly, when you think back to your time in District 129, what experiences or staff members helped shape that path that you're currently on?
I was part of HOSA, the Health Academy. And I would say, Miss Sonnefeld, which I found out she retired last year.
Yep.
Mr. Lundquist.
She will be missed. They will be missed.
Yes. And as well, Debbie Quinn, who also retired since my time here, my counselor. I think, I was probably very annoying to them, showing up at their door unannounced and just asking for advice. And they always made time for us. And I think one thing that West Aurora does very well is provide resources and support that I never felt like I was never scared or intimidated by approaching.
Love that.
Our staff here.
Sure.
And even to this day, I feel so welcome. It's like a big hug from all of you guys. I feel like I've never left.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
And what's super cool about, I was one of the weirdos that loved high school.
That's okay.
I always joke. So I've been in the Aurora area for a long time. I still live in the area of Oswego, and I always joke that Aurora is the biggest small town you'll ever come to.
100%.
And it's not really a small town feel, but it's a community feel. And what I loved about going to West is you get this little slice of America where it is such a multicultural and diverse place. It is a place where you can pursue your interests and passions, whether that's HOSA, whether it's just academics, whether it's athletics, ROTC, and you're doing that at the same time that you're practicing, okay, I am interacting with a lot of individuals that don't look like me, that don't sound like me, that have a different cultural, family, just life background. How do I exist in this world? How do I portray myself? And how does the world respond to me? And you get to practice it for 4 years. And even if you're not consciously thinking about it, I think once you leave a place like this and you go out into the world, you're prepared to just be a citizen. If you were actively engaging while you were in school, you practiced for 4 years.
Sure. No, I think Mrs. Kagarais, Dr. Martino have said that here with all of the opportunities, you really have to try hard not to have something that you can connect to as part of your experience here at the high school. And I love that both of you shared the idea that at West Aurora, you are seen. Whether that's an individual teacher or a program, there's a connection and opportunity to be seen and to develop who you are as an individual. So that is very encouraging that you all had that experience, because that's what we seek to provide. And quite honestly, you aren't the first ones to share that, but that's why we had you here on the podcast, because that is the story we want to tell. Yeah. And you're experiencing that life beyond high school, where that interaction with different cultures, different people only serves to support what you're doing in your daily lives. Is that a fair statement in terms of who you interact with day to day?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I definitely took it for granted that how diverse West Aurora High School is compared to anywhere else I've been. And I'm sure we'll get there. So I'll let you take over.
Actually, that's a wonderful bridge to my next question. And based on that, what we were just talking about, piggybacking on that topic, looking back, what skills or habits did School District 129 help you develop that proved most valuable after high school?
I think that diversity. So I went to St. Louis College of Pharmacy in St. Louis, Missouri, a private college. I was the only Spanish-speaking Latina, not only in my class, but in the entire 6-year program, students. Wow. It was a culture shock. And also, I think the community here in Aurora, right? I say it as a joke, like you can go to McDonald's and you can order in English or Spanish. And
you can, though. That's true.
And it's such a community where you see someone and you can say provecho, like enjoy your food, or hello. And I go to St. Louis and, I start working at Barnes Jewish Hospital, and I get in the elevator and I see people call, hi, good morning. And everyone just looks at me like, what is wrong with this girl? And that's when I think it clicked for me and realized how privileged I was to have this level of a high school education. And also in HOSA, I did the dual academy with Wabanzi.
Oh, sure.
And that I feel like prepared me to be an adult. Like I got to leave school. I got to drive a car. I got to experience a little bit of what college was going to feel like.
What it's like to have accountability.
Yeah.
Be a professional.
And now to hear that you guys have expanded to different buildings and the autonomy you're providing the students is priceless.
That's awesome.
I was an AP honors student, and the great thing about West was if there was any AP class I wanted to take, that's when it really started to pick up. I think it was 2015, 2016, that program was really being built. I had access to the class, which was fantastic for me. I loved applying myself academically. So those were really fun classes for me to take. And I had the opportunity here, whether it was dual credit honors classes, to explore while I was here. And so through that, I took Calc BC, took the AP exam, and then had credit up through Calc 1 and 2. And so when I went to undergrad, even though I'm a lawyer, I continued studying math. And part of that reason was people with STEM backgrounds tend to do really well on the LSAT. I knew I wanted to go to law school. So I was like, I'm just going to continue taking math classes. I already had credit up through Calc 1 and 2. So I started in Calc 3 as a freshman. Having that academic background, because this is such a big school, so much has to be offered here. Again, whether it's HOSA or now with the trade programs, which are fantastic. I have both my husband and my brother-in-law are in the trades. Their career path looks very different from mine. I'm just encouraging students to figure out what you're interested in. And at the same time, you're not existing in this small school where everyone looks and sounds like you. You're still having to practice, like you said, being an autonomous person. How do I get to and from my classes? How do I balance my class load with whether it's an internship or if you're getting a certificate outside of school or if you're having to work or whatever family responsibilities you have while learning how am I a citizen in this school and getting my work done.
That's good.
It's priceless.
That's good. No, well, and both of you highlighted programs that, yes, continue and have expanded. And we appreciate the fact that you were willing to be a part of some of the beginnings of those supports that we're offering to our school community. I know Dr. Martino and the team here, in partnership with the A+ Foundation, which is our alumni association, our goal is for a student through their high school experience to at least take one, if not more, but at least one dual credit or AP class.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be exposed to the very rigor that you just talked about, and the expectation and accountability that goes along with it. And what we've seen recently is a number of our internship programs are credit bearing, and that's part of a dual credit opportunity.
Yep.
So we're putting them in a pathway, and I give Dr. Martino and our leadership team through our curriculum instruction a lot of credit in that we have pathways that link folks into their interests.
Yes.
So we afford them the opportunity to take classes that are going to be foundational to what is their career aspirations post high school. Not that you have to be locked in, and we're going to get to that because I know you guys have a little bit of a journey. But at the same time, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, if you have an interest, we at least can dabble and expose you to some things while you figure that out, which is a great opportunity in offering here at a high school.
It's way easier to try that out while you're in school and it's being offered here for free than it is once you're locked in and you're in your third year of undergrad, or you're even if it's like, oh, I'm in my welding apprenticeship and it's 2 years in and now I figured out I don't think I want to be a welder.
Sure.
I mean,
So go ahead.
That's exactly what happened. I was in HOSA. I joined late, so I joined my junior year. So I was already behind, and then I wanted to get my CNA because I wanted to be a nurse. Because at that time, that was the highest level of education anyone in my family had received.
Yep.
So that's all I could see. And then once I was CNA work, I mean, they offered me a job. They're like, Wendy, you're great at this. And I was like, I need to run. This is not what I want to do.
But that's so valuable. I mean, learning what you don't want to do is as valuable as learning what you do want to do.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And if I could lean into that for the both of you, was there something aside from what you just shared with the HOSA experience, was there a point in your high school career where that seed of maybe I want to try this started settling in? You shared your family connection, weighed in there. Was there at some point you're like, okay, I'm seeing a pathway? Can you speak to that at all?
So there was no magic bullet class for me where I knew that I probably wanted to go into law. I had known that since I was in grade school. I had the very stereotypical story of my mom said to me, you really like to argue, you're going to be a lawyer. And then lo and behold, I became a lawyer. But I knew that lawyers did a lot of reading, writing, researching, and the classes that really required that of me, like AP Literature my senior year. As hard of a class as that was, my favorite part going into that classroom was the days when we would just have all of our desks in a big circle. And the whole point of the conversation was to have an open and honest discussion about things we disagreed with each other on.
Like a Socratic circle.
You had a Socratic, and you could vehemently disagree with someone, but you have to do it in a way where you disagree without being disagreeable. Sure. And you can have a conversation and you can listen and respond. I wonder if that skill is
necessary these days. Huh?
It is extremely, and it's something I took for granted in that class. And it's something I also took for granted once I was in law school, because law school is the same practice. And I knew that that is something that I am going to do a lot in my career. And so having classes like that where it required it of me, of even if this isn't specifically what I'm going to be working on professionally, you are developing those skills. Like even just being in healthcare, you're exposed to, like, it is a wide and vast practice, but being exposed to health.
They used to say those were soft skills. Those are essential skills.
Yes.
There's nothing soft about them.
No.
Right?
And it's really only something you develop with experience. You can't read it from a textbook. And then it's kind of like you could read all the rules to baseball and be a terrible baseball player. You could lay out all the physics of how to perfectly pitch and not be able to pitch. So
Wendy, how about you? What do you think?
I'm going to answer, it's probably going to sound crazy, but to be honest, lunch periods and socialization. So mind you, we graduated with around 750 students. We had to go to NIU to have our graduation. And I went to pharmacy school with people who would share that they had drive your tractor to school day in, like, they've never seen a person of color. People that just their social skills. And I think unfortunately in that pharmacy program, there was a lot of people that lacked those. And when my first career as a community pharmacist, you need those interpersonal skills. And that was invaluable for me.
Before you can care for someone, you have to see them.
Exactly.
Regardless of what they look like, right?
Exactly.
No, I'm right there with you.
Exactly. And I think as well, I wasn't an AP honors. I was not a smart kid. I want to be very transparent. I did AP honors Spanish. I was in honor roll. I worked so hard. My ACT score was not high enough to get into the college I wanted to. But I worked so hard. And I say this to all the kids I spoke with today. Everything in this world is all about who you know. And that, when someone would tell me that, like, careful with the bridges you burn, when I was in pharmacy school, because they're going to come back around, to this day, I mean, even the clinical pharmacist job at Northwestern, without doing a residency, PGY1, PGY2, I got a job because my mom was a tech there, because I volunteered there in high school. And that life skill alone, again, like I said, lunch maybe, and my socializing skills, where even my parents were like, Wendy, you got to stop talking to strangers. Like, you speak to a wall and make friends. But I was like, hey, that's what's made me successful. Now doing this in real estate. To meet strangers and talk to people. That's my entire job is just yapping away. So.
What you're talking about is almost the school within a school, and the power of relationships. You talked about the lunchroom. I remember as a principal, that was one of my favorite times of the day because you could just talk to the students. Every once in a while, I'll come here to the high school and introduce myself. I need to do that because no one has an idea what the superintendent does. But once they figure out, okay, I actually can be in this space and I have a role with the district, they just start talking to me as if I'm just someone they're hanging out with. And I love that because that's an authentic display of who they are, what they're interested in. And something that we did this year is we didn't completely remove them, but we backed off some of the cell phone use in the classrooms. And by default, what you're seeing in the lunchroom, they're seeing, hey, there's an option to talk to each other. We don't just have to hop onto our phones while we eat, right? So it's that not lost art, but reintroduction of the art of interpersonal relationships. And that's what both of you highlighted for sure. So that's awesome. So here's a big one. You're talking to our seniors, our juniors, and even some that recently graduated, or parents, and how they can support their kids who are getting close to graduation. Was there a surprise when you got out of high school and got to school as you know what, I wish I would have known this before I started school? Is there something along those lines?
Honestly, I didn't even know there was different doctor degrees. So mind you, I'm in a PharmD program, a 6-year program. Everyone's getting a PharmD, and I'm like with the freshmen, and we're in our dorm, and I'm like, yeah, we're all going to be doctors. And they're like, no, you're like a doctor of pharmacy. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then that's when I learned PharmD, MD, OD, PT, OT, you name it. I think, but that, I don't know if that was necessarily like a school thing, or I call it the 0 to 100 from what rigorous of a doctorate degree to step into versus what high school was. Not being in AP classes. So I know with Leah's situation with AP, maybe I know the kids, like I got a D on my first chemistry exam. I had no idea. I was like, I just studied, and there's kids that didn't even study and they got A's and B's. So I think for me, it was such a huge learning curve initially going into that level of rigorous of a program versus maybe for someone else it probably wouldn't have been. But that was my personal experience.
And I also heard you can do it though if you're willing to work hard.
Oh yes,
you can do it.
Yes,
it may be a gut punch, but you can do it. Don't give up. I like that.
A lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of especially as an 18-year-old, when people go to a regular 4-year, right? You get to party, you get to have fun, you get to get your gen eds out the way. I entered straight into a 6-year. I had a 2-year undergrad. I'm calculating IV bolus dosing in my calculus. I'm learning what pregnant women could take over-the-counter medications as an 18-year-old in pharmacy school. So it was completely, I think for me, that transition and what I wish I would have known. I mean, there's nothing that could have prepared me for that.
Well, in similar but different, my biggest shock, because I went straight from high school to undergrad to law school to working. And I always say if I had gone back and could talk to myself, I would have wanted 1 year of working, whether it would be most convenient between undergrad and law school, because I was not prepared for the transition of going to class, having a set syllabus, knowing what I have to read every week, knowing when exams are. People tell me when I have to be here and fit everything in around that. My job now, there is no one that is sitting down and saying, hey, Leah, you're going to have emails starting at 6 a.m. this morning. You don't have to really check them until 8. You'll probably work from 9 to 5 after that. And then you're going to be busy again around 8 o'clock.
Sure.
That was a hard transition for me was building that skill and learning to not be stressed out when I couldn't control realizing, oh, I don't really have control over when I get emails, but I can control.
You mean people don't ask before they press send?
No.
Yeah, we did get an email in high school, right? Did we have, like in college, you get it? Yeah.
No, I mean, we had Schoology, and that was just to tell you, oh, the assignment that I already assigned, I'm actually going to take off problem 10, like focus on problems 11 and 12. No one was coming in with the syllabus.
That's interesting. Okay.
That was the hardest transition for me.
Very good. Very good. Well, you are here today. And the reason why you're at the table is we're taking advantage of a visit that both of you are making back to the high school as alumni. Can I just ask, what motivated you to want to come back and talk to the students and share your experience?
You know, I got an email. So I went to Pioneer, then Schneider, and then Smith Elementary.
Okay.
And at Smith, I was part of the A-Team program with Michael Jordan's mom, the James Jordan Foundation, where we got paid for our grades. And I remember someone asked me, like, what would you attribute your success to? And I was like, I don't know what it was. I just was very productive as a fourth grader through high school. And I look back at the A-Team, and I remember I emailed Miss Dolores Jordan, and I sent her like a gratitude. And one thing that she always emphasized was like, give back. Never forget to give back to the place that got you to where you were. And once you guys reached out again to me, I was like, absolutely. Like, I have the person who I was in 2013, very shy, very timid, very, to myself, but still very social, extrovert, introvert, high school Wendy to who I am now. I truly do not take for granted that how instrumental my time here helped develop me into the young adult that I am today.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What would you share?
I love talking to high schoolers. I did this last year.
Okay.
And the cool thing about when I come in is I tell them, you can ask me anything. And they're like, oh, well, you obviously just want to talk about law school or being a lawyer. And I'm like, no, you can ask me anything. And so sometimes it's easier when I lead with, I'm a lawyer, my husband's a firefighter, like very different career paths. And last year I had one student, he's like, I'm actually interested in being a firefighter. Can I get more information? Can I get your husband's information to talk to him? And I'm like, that's so valuable. Even just exposing people to, these are all the options out there, because similar to I didn't know all the different doctors there were. I didn't know all the different areas of law. And when you hear lawyer, most of them assume, oh, you're in court all day. I am never in court. If I am in court, something's gone really wrong. I'm a transactional attorney, and I specifically focus on federal income taxes, and I don't even file people's tax returns. And so explaining what I do to people, they just get that exposure to, oh, I didn't even know that existed. And so just opening up that conversation with students is really fun.
And I know we've talked, the team here, which is why we're so excited about the internship opportunities. But an example in why we value a day like today is we talk about careers, we give them internship experiences, but to have tangible models and examples of people who are professionals who walk these very same hallways to say, yes, you can too. There is so much power in that. And I know we are truly grateful for your willingness to give back. And for those that don't know, it's one of those things where if you're a part of West Aurora, it's almost like you get it. If you're not, you don't. It's hard to explain, but a school of 3,500 can be reduced to an individual conversation with a teacher, and that's the value. You're part of a large system, a large school, but you're also seen as an individual, which is a balance that is amazing, that is struck here. Not that we're perfect, but I think both of you have articulated that experience, your experience of seeing that very same thing in your lives, which is great. So I see someone pending parent first. Okay. Very exciting. Very exciting. But this question is for those who have students, and is as if you are speaking with your own parents. What is that nugget of wisdom that you would offer parents as they're looking to guide and support a high schooler through West Aurora schools?
I think one thing that we kind of have to put ourselves in the shoes of, when I asked the freshmen about the pandemic, right? I think about the pandemic, and that was yesterday for me. And I had already graduated pharmacy school. They happened the year right after.
Okay.
So I asked the kids, and they were saying they were fourth graders, fifth graders, 8-year-olds. And I cannot imagine in such an instrumental life, elementary school years, as a parent, understanding maybe some trauma that my child has to deal with, of relearning an education system, of what did they learn of Zoom, and understanding that now, right, you have ChatGPT at your fingertips and you have cell phones and people have headphones in the hallway. It's so completely different than what we grew up to be giving the same advice that we once had when I don't know if it was the same for you, but we weren't even allowed to chew gum in our classes.
No.
Like we had a jar, you had to throw it out. Like
chicle en la basura, por favor.
Yes, it was very different in our times, and we didn't have cell phones. So for us, maybe that's why we built such a community. Versus now, when as our parents, it's so easy. Maybe go play with your friends, go socialize. Now they experience something in their lifetime that we don't thankfully have ever had to experience to that degree, to understand that they might be struggling with socialization skills. They might, the phone to them is their safety and their security and their blanket.
Their connection to the world.
Yeah, it's completely different than what we have.
That's good. Thank you. How about yourself? What do you think?
I would encourage that whatever they are passionate about now, encourage that, and also be that safe space for if they change their mind. Because I felt so much pressure, especially when you're in the AP honors program or doing any of those classes. You feel like you have to have your life figured out by the time you graduate here. It is great to have a direction. It's great to focus on the classes you have now and really excel in those, or choose courses that you're interested in. And if you change your mind, that is okay and easier to do when you're 18 or in your 20s than it is to do when you're 30s and 40s. It's not impossible, but if you change your mind now, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my biggest life career pivot was going to get a doctorate for 6 years, graduate, pharmacist for 10 months at CVS, pharmacist for 10 months, industry work, pharmacist for 10 months at a clinical setting, and then realizing I hate being a pharmacist. Yeah. And then going, at that time, I was a clinical pharmacist at Central DuPage with Northwestern, and I had saved up a lot of money. I was living in my parents' basement, and I was trying to buy a triplex here on Lake Street. And my parents were like, "What do you do? What do you mean you're gonna buy multi?" Like they didn't even know multifamily, right? That word. And I was like, I know what I'm doing, you know, I think I do. And then to end up backing out of that deal after, you know, asbestos was on my inspection and XYZ is horrible, backed out of the deal, used the $30K, quit my pharmacist job, to my mom stopped talking to me because she's confused as rightfully as she should, right? I'm a daughter of immigrants. My parents came here without nothing as job security to them. For me to leave a 6-figure career at 24 years old.
They're concerned as your parents.
Exactly. And I had to understand that as well, the emotional intelligence on my end to recognize like, hey, my parents just want the best for me. And I understand why. I'm making more money than they both make together in their entire lives in their age. And that experience of putting and risking everything to then learn real estate and make that a successful career, because that's what I was passionate about. And I knew my parents couldn't understand that. But now, I mean, 4 years in, even just dropping my dad off at the airport earlier this week and letting him know like, hey, Dad, I've been able to make my 6 figures plus and live my dream life doing what I love. And I'm safe and I'm okay. And I still get to dabble in pharmacy and show up and the knowledge I've taken away from that, saving my dad from amputees as a diabetic, is, again, I get to live the best of both worlds.
That's awesome.
And it's very unconventional. My mom eventually started talking to me again. It took some time. But it was definitely, I think, as a parent, I don't think many kids at that point would have had the emotional intelligence that I had of like, I could see where my parents are coming from. Versus like, oh, my parents are being my parents.
No, I hear both of you encouraging parents to as much, and I'm a parent myself. So I think this is almost like a confessional here. But as parents, we need to slow down enough to, want to see our students do well, but slow down enough to see what they're seeing through their eyes.
Yeah.
And have the empathy to come alongside them and encourage them. And with the idea of, as long as you're willing to put your nose to the grind and work hard, we're here to support you. That's going to end somewhere. We may not know, but we're going to be excited for the journey to get there. Right? Both of you are demonstrating a skill set that you learned here with the foundation of, I learned a lot of this at West Aurora High School and through the West Aurora school system, which is something we want to stand on a mountaintop and scream because we're so proud of it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for telling your stories. Leah and Wendy, as we wrap up, we truly appreciate you taking the time to return to West Aurora High School, share your journeys, and speak directly with our students. Hearing from alumni who once sat in these same classrooms and who are now pursuing meaningful and successful careers has a powerful impact. I want to extend a sincere thank you to both of you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was so fun. It was so nice to have a conversation about this.
Keep going.
You tell them the superintendent isn't so bad. Huh? To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to episode 52 of the West Aurora 129 podcast. And don't forget, you can follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
I still want to know what a superintendent does, though, honestly, because I couldn't even tell you.
Podcast,
Podcast 53.
Stuff.